Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to my first impressions aboard the German F4F Early Phantom 2, battle rating 10.7, rank 7, and this is one of two top crafting non-premium reward vehicles. The question is it worth it? How much is it worth on the marketplace? Should I go for it? Should I sell it? Whatever. First things first. It's a German reward. Together with the Leopard 2PL, you now have the opportunity to play with the big boys with, a basic lineup without ever having played tanks or planes before, and you directly can pay yourself into top tier. That is a disadvantage. And it also plagues this plane, not just in tank RB, which it is very capable of performing in, but also especially in air RB. When I play the vehicles, I try to play them in their respective game mode in realistic battles. And so planes are played in air RB. The plane itself is fantastic. I love it. It can do the job of killing stuff, bombing stuff, and in between. It has a huge variety of loadouts. And yet I wouldn't pay more than 30 Gaijin coins for it on the marketplace, a price it might eventually drop to. At the moment it gets sold for roughly 80 at the time of recording, which is way too much. And remember, this is a non-premium reward, so when you get it, it's also stock. Oh, look at this situation. Phantom kills Phantom, kills Phantom. Missiles, Gatlings, everything, right? So the current situation is that you're plagued by your team, because a lot of people have this plane and they have never even touched biplanes before, but they can play a Phantom, and so they think that they are now Captain Kirk, right? And yet they have no idea what they're doing. So unexperienced people that don't know how to treat chats, how to play chats, how top tier meta works in stock, well, boom and zoom fighters, because this is one of the first comparisons that I want to draw. It's very rough, but for everyone that doesn't have any experience in planes or is just at low tier, think about this being the jet equivalent of a P-47. Very versatile and really good, but only in the right hands. Whereas everything else around you is then, very powerful Spitfires. Don't term fight anything. There are chances in a furball, but don't play anything when it comes to 1 versus 1 and you go into a knife fight. This is not where the plane is good at. So much for that. Let's talk about the plane itself. Phantoms. My god, I love Phantoms. As I just said, they have huge variety of weapon loadouts. They're powerful, they look awesome, they perform really well, they are really fast. The higher they go, the better they perform in contrast, as a rough estimation. And we already have various different variants of Phantoms throughout, some nations. Just to mention here the F4EJ for the Japanese. Then we have here the German version. We have a lot of variants in the British tech tree, and the basic American ones where you also have some. It's not a rare plane, and we will also see in the future one in the tech tree, which Gaijin has announced in the dev blog when they announced this one. But it's not there, and people just lose their mind, and then they open their wallet to hilarious prices. Let's not talk about the insanity that is the marketplace. Let's talk about the plane. Sorry about this. So, yeah, let's start with the basics. You have a 20mm M61 with 640 rounds of ammunition. There are other Phantom variants that have for the built-in 20mm up to 1200 rounds. So be a bit trigger patient. Although that is a really, really good gun. It just slices through enemy jets and has good muzzle velocity, very high rate of fire. It's fantastic. Then you have the choice of leaving this as your standard loadout and go fighter mode only, or you have the choice to equip 3 different types of missiles. Let's make it quick. Only the AIM-9Js, which can pull 20 G and go up to 2.5 Mach, are really worth talking about. that are very, very effective at high altitude. Then you also have various different bomb loadout options, up to 3 2,000-pound bombers, up to 11 1,000-pound bombs, up to 171 FFAR Mighty Mouse rockets, or up to 36 Tsuni Mark 32s in combination with missiles. You also have the combination of having 2 additional 20mm M61 gun pods with 1,200 rounds for each gun pod. So then you're firing extensively with the gun pods, whereas your main gun has already lost ammunition. You still can fire gunfight wise. Various different other bomb load options. So many I cannot even talk about them. And for every taste there is stuff. But there are also things that are missing. And they are that you have no countermeasures. You have no flares and you have no chaff. For instance, like the new Mirage has it available, or other Phantoms at least have countermeasures versus IR guided air-to-air missiles. And the plane isn't really that well suited. In fact, if you do the usual trick of letting the missile slot in behind you and then do some rolling, if you have bombs or air-to-air missiles, you get at a certain speed, you can rip your wings. It's rather rare, but it can happen. It's a possibility. And you have no radar guided missiles yourself. That is something that the plane really sometimes struggles with. This battle that I'm now showing you from start to finish is a very good indicator what the plane is actually truly capable of, and when your team provides the right distraction, then you can also be really effective, but you immediately can hard hit your limits as well. And this is why this battle is such a good showcase. So there is one going with me to high altitude. We are at 5.5 kilometers. I quickly turn on my radar to see any sort of contact, but I see nothing on the radar. Turn it off, maybe wrong radar mode, whatever. I'm not so much a radar specialist. I want to see with my own eyes what I'm going up against. And again, look at this plane. It's beautiful. It's fantastic looking. It has so much character. That's probably the only reason why I went through the trouble of playing at top tier. You hear that? Beep, beep, beep. And there is the missile symbol coming out of the clouds. And I'm just trying to go low because many planes do not have yet a Doppler radar. And when you go to the ground, then they lose the contact. The F4 EJ, that's the Japanese one, has now lost interest, and I turn up, slot in behind him, spool up the missile, and because we are at high altitude, the missile reaches further. Despite coming slightly from below, I just helped here my teammate, and that is kill number 1. The rest of the enemies are now low. While the German teams very often get slaughtered, when they team up with other nations it's not so drastic, but the enemy teams very often go into a killing frenzy, or they go into a full blood rush, stop thinking, and this is then where you kept a little bit the distance and then go into the furball and distribute your missile loads. This is then where the thing really can shine. A lot of planes can also shine in this aspect, like, you know, here the Widowmaker, the F104. And at this altitude versus this plane, the missiles are brutally effective because, well, they just kill. And also here, this is the perfect scenario. Coming from above, picking up speed. They don't see you coming. They don't expect you. And this F1, well, if he wouldn't turn right now, the missile would have gotten him. If you shoot the missile from above, it then, even after the motor stops working, still continues. So you can really long-range missile kills. And that is then equalizing the battlefield. Here I was just a minute too late in, you know, helping my team out. And F4C is slotting in behind me. And again, I do hear some turny, and missile goes whoosh, but doesn't go boom, unlike the missile from my teammate. And that is teamwork. This is working together. Fantastic, right? And now I need to play with him. We need to stay alive. It's just us two now versus multiple enemies. We need to kill them. The F1, well, he decides to go into a head-on, and I pulled out bit too late. He gets the shot in. One of my engines is down, and he tries to fire a radar missile. And again, I have to pull up. And there is one final thing, and that is the pilot knockout. Despite having here a perfectly trained pilot with an expert qualification, the pilot knocks out really fast. And once you're hurt and you lose speed, you're a dead phantom. And that are my first impressions. Fantastic plane, performs really well under the right circumstances, but very often you are up against the wall with your back because your team just dies on you so quick. It's really difficult to get into position. Remember, the marketplace prices are insane. Don't pay more than 30 Gaijin coins for this, because I know it's rare, but we get a tech tree version and this is not a premium. And having said this, those are my first impressions. Maybe I'll play the plane in the future again to have a second look at it, or make even a review about it, don't know yet. Up until then, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Let me know your thoughts about the crafting event, what it is like to play against and alongside the German Phantom. Do you think that it's okay to give out, top tier, top rank rewards for your squadron activity rewards and also for crafting events? And as usual, we'll see each other on the battlefields, on the waves, and in the skies of War Thunder.